Okay guys, this video is going to be kind of weird. Of course it's doesn't have any picture to it, it's just a black screen. I'm just kind of talking, right? Alright, so basically my job today is to explain to you how a combustion engine works. Now, this is basically a podcast for a class project, and so basically I just have to explain so my teacher and the class can understand how a combustion engine works here. So basically, see, you got your fuel and you got your air, and then you got spark. Now you got your air box. Now that has your air filter inside of it. That's where the air comes in, right? And then you got, well, on my car, I'm going by my car. I don't care about nobody else's car. I'm just going by my car. That's how I can explain it, right? So then you got your fuel injectors. Now they spray injector fluid down into the engine, and you see what happens there is that the air and the injector fluid, they just kind of mix together. And then you got your spark plugs. Those are down underneath the coil packs. You gotta have packs, because if you buy them by the single, then it's just, you know how it is, going to Sam's Club and stuff. You want the coil packs from Sam's Club. You don't want just regular coils, you see. And anyway, so what happens is, your spark plugs, what they do, they create spark, right? Well, not really, but that's simple. That's how we gonna say it, right? So what you got is you got the spark plugs. They're catching your injector fluid, okay, and your air. They're catching all that on fire, because you got to have air for a fire, okay, because that's what creates power. Fire. The fire creates power, because you know what's in fire? Fire power, right? So it's just lots and lots of power. So basically, inside of your engine, there's just basically lots of explosions every second, like, well, technically per minute, usually at idle. Idle meaning, your car's just running, you're not moving, right? So your car should be at, just based off of Crown Vic, you should be somewhere around 10 to 11,000, maybe up to 13,000, 14,000, somewhere around there RPMs. And then, once it warms up, it'll drop down to about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, or 8,000. It'll be somewhere in there. And then, so basically, what you got going on is that there's a bunch of fire inside your engine, because your engine is constantly exploding. But don't worry, that's what it's supposed to do. Your engine is supposed to explode. Okay, and inside, it explodes on the inside. But if it explodes on the outside, you got a whole different issue. You might want to get that looked at by a mechanic, or if you're alive. I mean, that's kind of rough. Anyway, so what happens basically is that, well, once you take see, cars go burr, right? So then what you hear is the boom, 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 the coming out of the exhaust machine. Okay, so see what that does is that basically that noise that you hear is just all the explosions inside the engine. And you see, basically the engine is just a big air pump. You get air flowing in, you burn the air, and you get the air out of there. That's the best way to explain that. But you see, what happens is that basically, now this is kind of, not exactly, but it's basically, is that you see all the explosions that go on in your engine just keeps on exploding. And then see what that does, it pulls the engine out, or it pulls the firepower out of the engine, and then it puts that somewhere around the intake manifold. Usually it pulls that into there, and then basically it goes, well, on some cars it's kind of different on some cars, but usually I want to say it goes somewhere around the oil. It goes in the oil, and it mixes with the oil. All the firepower and oil and all that, it's all just mixing together. And then it's going to go out through your alternator. So once you go through your alternator, that's what takes power to firepower, and that's what moves it around. And it says, hey, I'm going to take some of this firepower here, and I'm going to put you towards whatever wheel spin. See, on my car, all the wheels spin while I'm driving, because if they didn't, that'd be, you got some kind of braking issue. And so you don't want to have a braking issue. Now maybe in the future I'll do a video for class how braking systems work. But I hope I don't have to do something like this again, because this kind of sucks. I didn't even know I had to do this, but then I realized it's literally due tomorrow, first thing to class. So here I am, Anyway, but yeah. So what you got is that at that point you got the wheels, they're spinning now. So what do you do when they're spinning? So. And see, at that point, it's just you gotta have brakes. But that's kind of off topic here, because we're looking at how a combustion engine works, right? So then, the smoke that comes out of the exhaust, that's just because, the combustion engine has had a long day at work, and it's had a rough week overall, and so it comes out of work, it decides it's gonna have a smoke or two. And that's all that is. So don't worry about that at all. It's not an issue. It's actually pretty healthy for it. Because if it's smoking, then it's getting rid of all the stress and stuff. See, and basically the thing at the back that you go down to the gas station to put in, you're just basically feeding the car. You see, because it's hungry. Alright, so it's hungry, right? So once it's hungry, it's going to have some food. So you put some food in it so it can go nom 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 nom. And then see, now it's caught the food, and then you're all good to go at that point. You got to sit inside so you can steer and everything, but other than that, you'll be alright. And basically how a starter works, this is something that's hard to explain. So if you've ever seen like the inner workings of like a lighter, specifically like a Zippo lighter, they've got the spark wheel that ignites, it's like steel, and then that ignites, it sparks off of flint, a little piece of flint, and then that ignites the wick inside of your engine, and then see what happens from that point on is that starts a big fire. That lights your whole engine on fire right there once you turn that starter on. And that starter, once it's turned on, it's turned on. It's hard to slow it down, So it's you don't want to mess with that as far as that goes. But basically, yeah. So once your fire is going, you don't want to put out that fire, because once you put out that fire, it's just gonna cry. It's gonna sit there and it's gonna cry, and you're gonna have to be like, oh, listen, you'll be alright. So basically, what you did, you killed the thing, and you can bring it back to life by hitting the thing again, but it's going to remember. It's going to be like, hey, you killed me, man. And there's so much more, obviously, to a car or to anything than just the combustion engine. But most vehicles don't have a combustion engine. They actually have like a V8, like my car does, or they have like a little V4 or a V6 or like a V7, something like that. Or a Gallo 24, Gallo 12, something like that, obviously. And because if it don't got that, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? No, I'm serious. I want to know. Pause the video and let me know, what are you doing, man? So, if when this plays in class, I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna go around the entire class. I want you all to tell me, what are you doing, right? So that's I'll give you a second. Alright, so I'm sure you should be back by now, right? And so basically, there ain't a whole lot more, obviously, to a combustion engine than that. I think I covered all the basics. If there's anything else you want to know, just let me know. Sure, just ask. I'll answer. I don't matter, man. And it's anyway. So what basically, there's a lot more to a car than just the engine, whether it's a combustion engine or like a V8 or something. It don't matter, There's so much more to a car, so that's going to have to be more videos and more time in class talking about this, because just overall, there's so many things in the world that people don't understand, and then once they do understand it, they're like, hey, that's pretty understandable. Why? Because they understand it, you see? So then they're like, hey, I thought that was harder than it was. It's actually pretty easy. I got it down, bud. And then I'm like, alright, well, see, whatever. I don't even own the world. People ask me, they're like, hey, would you tell me how this works? And I'm like, you see, I don't really know But I'm just gonna act like I do, and then by the time I'm done, you're gonna be either so confused or so half asleep that you're not even gonna realize that 99% of what I just said is absolutely not how a combustion engine works, and you should definitely not take my word for it, because I may know how to fix them and I may know how to work on them, but I have no idea like how to explain how they actually work. Like, I know the general idea of what's going on inside of it, but I cannot really explain with proper words how that's supposed to work. But listen, when a car go burr, a car go burr. But listen, when a car stops going burr, that's when you have to worry, right? So as long as your car starts and runs and drives, if you don't know how to work on it, if you don't want to learn how to work on it, just take it to a mechanic. It's going to cost a little bit of money. It is. But listen, you don't want to hurt yourself and you don't want to hurt other people is the thing, right? So listen, all you got to know is car start, car drive, car go burr, right? And then when car no start, you gotta go uh-oh, and you gotta be like, hey, what's wrong with my car? Why ain't my car starting, you know? So that's when the real issues over here come into play, and you don't want that, right? Nobody wants that, you know? Nobody likes to see people having car trouble. So for class, this video was supposed to be at least 10 minutes. We're going on 11 minutes and 33 seconds right now. But other than that, that's all I got to say about that. Have a great evening.